in love and war. Seems like a bad precedent to set, doesn't it? Like,
It does seem like a very bad precedent to set.
anything
Because,
goes.
I would argue that all is not, in fact, fair in any situation. I would argue that's why we have, was it the Geneva Convention? That you can't use, like, chemical weapons and biological weapons and stuff?
Yeah!
I'd say that's probably not okay.
Yeah, I'd agree. Maybe that's like the start of season 2. There's like a chemical attack, and Lady Whistledown's like, oh well, that she loved him, so.
Oh god! Imagine if that was the start of season 2. She's like, I've written the Whistledown Convention, and it's exactly the same as the Geneva Convention. Don't use chemical weapons. Don't kill civilians.
Yeah,
all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I said all is fair in love and war last year. Apparently some people didn't get it. That I didn't mean like every fucking thing on the planet is okay. Here's a few caveats, a few exceptions. But yeah.
Oh god.
But before we get to that, we've got some bullshit to do.
Indeed we do. Go on, spin the wheel, Dan.
Okay. Wait. Who's going first then? Because we both have something.
You go first,
don't we?
Chuck.
Okay.
Yeah, you go first. I'll let you, since I like you.
Right. Okay. My opinion on TikTok has changed.
Has it? Wow, okay.
Yeah.
What was your opinion on TikTok, and what is now your opinion on TikTok?
Good question.
Yes.
You
kind of fed me that question.
I
but,
did. I did. Still good. I thought TikTok was pretty shit. To begin with, I thought it was pretty pointless. I thought it was just people, they seem to be enjoying it and that's their thing, but it just seemed a bit pointless to me. Because as some of you may know, it used to be Musical.ly, and I fucking hated Musical.ly, like with a passion. All the dancing and all that. No, just couldn't. I couldn't be doing with it.
Dancing and happiness and general frivolity.
Joy.
That's not Danny's bag.
Joy,
No.
Contentment. No, fuck that. So I ended up through a series of events getting a TikTok account, and I started scrolling through it, going, "I'm right, this is shit." But then something curious happened. Like the more I sort of scrolled, it must have cookies or something, because I started seeing posts and stuff that I was sort of agreeing with, because it's not just dancing and stuff anymore. It's people giving opinions on things,
Okay.
and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I give that a wee give that. And before I knew it, I was now on a sort of almost like a sort of space where particular opinions circulate, sort of socially left sort of opinions are circulating. That's where I am on it now, and I was like, okay, that's not too bad. I still think it's a bit silly, the majority of it. The only reason I like it is because of these nice people saying pretty sensible things. And then I figured out that 4 O'Clock Club is pretty popular on TikTok.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I saw it, and it was British nostalgia from the 2000s, those type of posts.
Yeah.
And it was coming up with the Tweenies and Come Outside. Remember that show?
Come Outside. I don't think I ever saw Come Outside. But speaking of the Tweenies, I went to see the Tweenies live.
Did you?
I did. Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
I remember loving the show, and then afterwards they had a bit we could go up and meet the actual Tweenies, and naturally I was petrified. There's a photo somewhere of me standing next to, I think his name was Milo.
Milo,
who's
yeah.
the purple one. Me standing next to Milo and looking utterly petrified. So that's somewhere in. I suppose my parents have got it, but yeah.
Yeah, as leverage. But yeah, so I found and also I found these glow ups. Do you know what a glow up is?
I am familiar with the concept of a glow up.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know what a glow up is, it's like they take pictures from back then and then now and compare to see who's what, when you look like a child and then when you're a sort of semi-adult, it's like, oh, they look different. Yeah, that's the passage of time, fuck's sake. so my vanity got the better of me, and I started going through these things, and I was like, I'm not in any of these fuckers. So I did a wee TikTok as like a sort of joke, and I was like, I've seen all these 4 o'clock club glow ups on TikTok and all that, and I'm not in any of them.
Right.
But then I realised it's because I've been beautiful the entire time, and there was no transition period. So I just put that up, and I'd put up a few things before. They were getting like maybe 13 likes and that, not very much. And because I'd tagged like 4 o'clock club in it, suddenly thousands upon thousands of people were like pouring in, liking this. Oh my god, it's him. Like, I was like, oh Jesus Christ! Like, how popular are these glow ups? It's so weird. And now I really like TikTok because because people have followed me on it.
Following. Oh, well,
yeah, that's the only reason, because there's socially left politics on it, and it feeds my ego. So
I suppose that makes sense, though. I suppose the more engagement you get out of an app, the more likely you are to carry on using it.
yeah,
It's like the reason I don't ever go on Facebook is because I go on Facebook and it's like, oh, my vaguely racist aunt has just shared a meme that I don't really like, and then I'll unfriend her and leave.
yeah,
And it's like, oh, well, I don't know. I'm not inclined to go back onto Facebook because I'm just going to see another obscure family member posting a Minion meme about drinking wine at lunchtime. It's like, I just don't give a shit.
Yep.
But no, yeah, I suppose if you're engaging with TikTok, that's like the whole point, right?
Definitely. And
Maybe
that's...
you'll have to try and find a way to combine the two worlds of socially left-wing social commentary and 4 o'clock club. So I think Eli would have been a socialist, and then make some set of arguments, and you'd be like, I don't know what that'd do to your ratings. Maybe it'd go up because both the social commentators and the 4 o'clock club fans would be watching.
It's a
or maybe
curious
it'd go down
thing.
because it's too much of each other for the one group to be into it.
Yep. Because, like, see, look, in my sort of younger days, I used to like say, "Oh, I hate politics and my media and my socials and that." But it's like, it's actually kind of important to sort of like if you're like running a page or a YouTube channel, or anything, or TikTok, it's actually kind of important to sort of lay what you believe out, like, and what you're willing to go along with, and what you find acceptable, because like you could put up something like pretty socially left, and then all these like horrible people are like, "What? Like, I didn't realize you were a lefty," and then they just fucking fuck off. Do you know what I mean? So it's good to sort of establish
get your political
early on.
views out there first. So what you're saying is that if somebody's listening to this podcast and has not created a TikTok account, they should create one, share their political views very explicitly in their first TikTok, and then from then on just spout nonsense.
Definitely.
Excellent. That's what I haven't got a TikTok.
Do you know?
Mostly because I've seen all those articles and stuff where it's like TikTok is an app that exists pretty much just to harvest all of your data. So I mean, that's why I haven't gone quite down that path.
I mean, we're past that point anyway, aren't we? They already have all our data. Like,
I mean, yeah.
I've
I think
stopped
there is an
caring.
argument, well, I mean, yeah, trust me, I know what you mean. But I think there is an argument about, like, setting legal precedent for these things. In that, like, say somebody gets murdered and there's, like, an Amazon Alexa in the room or a Google Home or whatever it might be, then should the audio recordings, which Amazon or Google will have, should those recordings be admissible in court, or should they count as a private piece of information, the same as if you had a CD in your house or whatever it might be? So I think maybe perhaps by you or I making a TikTok account and saying, yeah, I have access to fucking everything, I don't give a shit, maybe that's setting a legal precedent that in future that we can just like, oh yeah, well, we've got these cameras 3 miles away from your house and we can see everything you do. So maybe it's, I don't know, it's not to sound like too much of a conspiracy nut, but I think that's my view so far anyway.
I agree with you. But there's only so much like I can do in my life, and like so much any of us can do, and like I'm finding it much harder to sort of see a sort of future where massive giant companies that don't control our data.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. But
There's a great quote, and it's we can imagine the end of the world, but we can't imagine the end of capitalism. It's like
yeah.
it's that ingrained into society.
Which,
It's like
that is something I utterly despise. Is the fact that it's easier for us to imagine like
a Fallout type situation,
yeah,
where the world has literally ended, but we're still exchanging things for money based upon the scarcity of the things that we're using.
exactly.
It's still this inherently capitalist society, even after the world has literally ended.
Yep.
Can you not imagine a world either after the world's ended or before,
Yeah.
where we're all like maybe kind of nice to each other? Maybe we think, oh well, those people are hungry. Why don't we give them some food? Can we not imagine that world?
Exactly. I mean, like, if the world ends and like people are like, right, okay, let's try it again. It's like, no, was it not an indication to you that the way it was going before was pretty shit?
Yeah, it's he makes it was. I mean, we talk a lot about H Bomber Guy, but he mentioned that exact thing in his Fallout New Vegas video where he said, of the various factions you meet throughout the game, one of the factions is literally just essentially the US government trying to rise again, basically, after this nuclear annihilation. And you think, well, okay, well, they're organised and they've got resources and stuff, but their entire way of thinking is what caused the nuclear holocaust.
Exactly.
So perhaps it's not wise to go down that path again. But, if you'd like a nuclear holocaust, who am I to stop you? I'm just some guy that would like there to not be a nuclear holocaust.
Yeah. Oh, what a loony lefty.
I know.
What is it? What is it? What's that? What is it? Soy boy? Is that what they say now?
Soy boy, that's it. Which is
Soy
ironic because I do eat a lot of soy. I do eat and drink a lot of soy just because
it's good for you.
Yeah. There's a massive piece of shit called Paul Joseph Watson.
Oh yes, yeah, that vaguely man-shaped pile of garbage.
Yeah, who says that soy boy bite a cucklet all the time, and like he was pushing this like sort of man fuel sort of energy thing, and the main ingredient was soy. So,
yeah.
Oh God, yeah, it's
That's one of the things that really frustrates me is that if I mention, we drink soy milk in our house, because we do, and people always say, well, isn't soy bad for men? No, it's not. It's like this weird misinformation scandal. It's like, of all the things in the world, why are you concerned with soy milk?
Yeah.
If you take a tenth of the energy you're devoting to caring about soy milk and phytoestrogens and stuff, why not take that tenth of that energy and donate it to caring about climate change?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord Almighty.
I agree. But should we do your bullshit now?
I think we should do my bullshit now. There's a 50-50... I said this before we started recording. There's a 50-50 chance this will annoy you.
Okay.
Or at least perplex you. But we're going to go for it anyway.
Right. Oh, I'm nervous.
It stopped. Discord doesn't like that noise.
Yeah, it stopped, yeah.
Okay, I have engaged the services of a milkman.
Right.
We have a milkman now. How weird is that?
Can I just ask?
Yes.
The service that you've started is for milk. Yes.
Milk and also bread. I'm being very controversial there. Milk, bread, and he has sex with me. Yes, of course, that's what we're doing.
Oh God. Okay, so what? How did this come about?
Well, essentially, right. There's this man in Stoke. I imagine it's a fairly common thing across the country. I don't think it's just Stoke.
Mm-hmm.
He delivers groceries. Essentially, he has like a farm where he grows fruit and veg, and then he delivers that stuff out to whoever. And Chloe and I, because we knew him like through the family, like he does quite a few different bits for whenever I say the family, because it's such a big and sprawling family, it always makes me think a bit of the mafia. It's like, for the family. But like, yeah, we know him sort of through the family, so it's like, oh well, we'll try him and see if his groceries and stuff are good. So we did, and they are
So essentially now I'm getting lots of like fruit and veg and butter and cheese and stuff
Oh.
that is cheaper and better than supermarkets. And I was sat there looking at like recipes that I was going to make that week and thinking like, oh well, I need this and I need this and I need this. And the only things I really couldn't get from the veg man was milk.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, well, if only there was a way to get a person to bring milk to my house. If only such a service existed. If only there was a world in which there was like a kind of concept where somebody would just bring milk to my... And then it hit me that milkmen exist. Or at least existed.
Yeah.
So I googled milkmen now. And there's this company called Milk and More. And so yeah, now I get milk and bread delivered to my house. But via a milkman. Which means I'm not like... thingy, and I'm not like supporting like bigger businesses like Tesco or
Yeah.
Asda or stuff like that. I'm sort of minimizing my impact on the environment a bit, which is nice. Like the farmer guy that we get our groceries from, he grows that stuff, and like genuinely, it's really good. Like because I'll go out to him with like a list of the food, the ingredients I need to make the meals I need that week, and I'm like, okay, can I have however much potatoes, butternut squash, whatever it might be. And then he'll fill this bag full of stuff, and I will literally struggle to carry it from his van to my house. And it's like, yeah, that's 15 quid. It's just nothing at all for like a lot of incredibly good produce. And yeah, it's just really good.
That is amazing.
Basically. Yeah, so I'm not saying this is the right idea for everybody, because I have the luxury of working from home, even when we're not in pandemic season. I have the luxury of saying, well, I'm going to be home 24/7, so when the Eggman decides to turn up and say, hi, do you want groceries and eggs? I can just go out to him, walk away from my desk and say, yes, I would like groceries and eggs, and then just say to him the things that I would like, and he will provide them to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, it's ideal for me, and it's like a minimal impact on the environment, and it's affordable, and it's good, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I thought it was just a nice thing to share on the podcast. I thought it was kind of cool.
Why would you think that would annoy me?
Well, I don't know. Well, you were baffled by the concept of skips. So
Yeah,
I thought perhaps the concept of a milkman in the modern era might annoy you and confuse you.
No, I mean, I'm not opposed to the skip thing. I just find it really sort of amusing that a guy has a business just like with skips. He just sort of I just find that kind of funny.
Delivers a big metal box around.
Yeah, but like I'm I always get called like sort of old because like I think that we should go back to like when like shops had like specific sort of things, like you would go to like a grocer's for your groceries, you'd go to a butcher's for your meat, and it would take away a lot of the sort of monopoly power on these bigger companies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like it reduces my sort of food miles as well, which is one of those. It's one of these terms that you hear a lot in like sustainable food and the sustainable food industry, and it's a term that I have to write about a lot because that's kind of the day job. But like, it's also, as wanky as the phrase is, it is kind of nice to look at my butter and think this, like it says on my butter, such and such dairy in Staffordshire. It's
Yeah.
like, well, I know that this is come from nearby cows that are like ethically treated, and the money is going straight to a small business and all that sort of stuff. I like that.
Like
Go on, sorry.
the whole like you're saying with in Staffordshire and all that. See those sort of shops like butchers and all that. I think there was like a sort of sense of like community there that is like missing nowadays.
I do
obviously,
know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Obviously it should be like because like. I mean, there was a lot of racism back then, so like maybe if we could redo that, but like not be racist pieces of shit, that would be good.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
No, I know exactly what you mean. It's when you talk about let's do such and such from this time period, I don't think people really ever mean let's do the Victorian age again, exactly how it was.
Yeah.
I mean, let's do waistcoats and top hats, but let's do it properly this time.
Yeah.
Let's not have slavery and let's not have children dying in warehouses. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would hope people would be charitable enough to assume that I don't I don't mean that. Like I think that we should go back to like you know the old adage, it takes a village to like raise a child.
Yeah.
I think
I know what you mean.
I think that's a much better way of like raising kids rather than like a sort of isolated sort of nuclear sort of family. Like,
yeah, I know what you
one
mean.
mum, one dad, and like you're sort of cut off from everyone. You know, I think it's better that the child that you have goes out into the community, does bits and bobs, you know, maybe goes to the grocers, helps make bread. I don't know. I've never fucking done that, right? I'm obviously just ranting a wee bit, but like more sort of socialising, you know, not being so introverted, you know, I think that's
I know what you mean.
pretty good.
Yeah, it's I think for me at least, it's not about it's sort of about garnering that sense of community in a way, and sort of like a community responsibility for the things that we do.
Definitely.
In that, I remember seeing this thing online that sort of spurred me on to sort of try and reduce my food miles and stuff a bit, which was this like I'm sure you'll know what I'm talking about, like a fruit cup, and it's like a pineapple and mango or whatever that's like diced, put in a little cup with some sugary water, and then sealed, and then that's sent to a supermarket. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And it said on this fruit cup, this person, it was, I think they were in the United States, and it said fruit grown in, it was a South American country, so say Brazil, fruit grown in Brazil, fruit packaged in Taiwan, and then they put like this graph, then not a graph, what's it called, a map of the earth next to it, and they were like, well, if the food started there and then went to Taiwan and then came to my local supermarket, that's travelled thousands and thousands of miles before it's even before I can even conceive of its existence. Do you know what I mean? I just think that's utterly insane.
I agree.
And I think, yeah, having sort of more local businesses, and like, there's a chance that I will drive past the cow that made this butter that I'm eating. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's I think that's sort of a nicer thing to know the cows are better looked after and stuff like that.
Yeah, and because like,
go on.
Oh, sorry, no, on you go.
No, I mean, plus it's cheaper as well for me. Like, we I forget what it was now, but quite often you hear of people doing big shops in a supermarket that are about £100 easily for like a week or a week and a half shopping. And we did our food shopping this month, and there's like, obviously we can't get everything just from this bloke, and then we also need to get like tins of stuff, like tins of beans or sweet corn or whatever it might be. And there are services out there that focus on like shelf-stable things. The one that I use is called Bother, and you put in like, I want tinned tomatoes and beans and whatever it might be, and they put together this thing, and it is delivered extremely quickly. And so that's what I did, and it's like, altogether, that box plus groceries for the month, plus like a couple of extra bits that I might need to go to the shop for if I've like, oh fuck, I forgot to buy mozzarella, so I need to go to the shop or whatever it might be. That's like £100 a month rather than £100 a week. Do you know what I mean? That's insane. The difference there.
Like even like, you know how you were saying, like, if this sort of company that sort of gets this fruit is like from like Brazil, see if like that wasn't like an international sort of, you know, it transports fruit like, all across the globe. Like if local businesses were like encouraged like everywhere and not just like here, not only is it going to be like cheaper for the people that live in these countries to get like produce and that and make it more affordable for them, it's like the workers that are in those companies are going to find it like a lot easier to hold like managers and like owners to like account for like possible mistreatment. Because if it's a big international company and you're some guy in Brazil, you know, like getting fruit out the ground, you can't fucking go and complain to like the owner who's sitting in fucking wherever he is. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but if it was a local sort of farm and it's like, you're not paying me enough to do this, it's like, oh shit, okay, then that problem is going to be solved a lot quicker. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, exactly. It's I think I'm not advocating for like a self-sustaining, isolated community. I think I'm advocating more for like community in the sense of like, that community sense is something that I really value, and I really value like I mentioned to the Eggman, which is what he sells lots of things other than just eggs, but for some reason we have christened him the Eggman. And I spoke to him and I said, oh, I think you know our family, and I sort of mentioned a couple of names, and he was like, oh god, yeah, that was one of my first customers way back when I started. She was sort of one of my first customers. And I just think that's kind of incredible. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To think that it's like a small local business and this community feeling of it, and I really like that. But now that I've preached about socialist grocery shopping for about 20 minutes, I have another piece of nonsense. It's very short.
Oh.
I put some lights up in my office.
Oh, did you?
I did, yes. My lamp broke. It was a lamp that a family member gave us when they heard we were moving house and getting married and all that.
Uh-huh.
And they said, "Oh, here you go. We don't use this lamp. Do you want it?" Yeah, all right. We haven't got anything, so we'll definitely have a lamp off you. I plugged it in and it worked and it was great. And then one day I tried to turn it on and the switch wouldn't work. It was just broken. And I am too much of an idiot to allow myself to open an electrical item and try to fix it and then try to use it.
Yeah.
I genuinely think I would probably cause a house fire if I tried to do that.
Uh-huh.
So I thought, right, well, I'll throw that away. And I've bought some fairy lights for in here. It is, oh god, what is it? It's like 200 fairy lights or something ridiculous. And it goes all around the edge of the ceiling in this room, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
Like it's plugged into the wall and there's like a little switch and it just goes around the edge of the ceiling. So it's like an all-round sort of quite warm, chilled out light. And I was like up a ladder with a drilling into the wall. And that was nice. Yeah, there's nothing much to talk about on that front. I just like it and I'm quite proud of it, so I thought I'd mention it.
Well, I'm expecting to see them in the next nugget of bullshit that you do. Then
you will, yeah. There'll be a very brief look at the lights, and everyone will go, "Oh, yeah, some fairy lights," and then move on from that.
Yeah, that's what you're wanting. That's the reaction we hope to cultivate.
Yes, that's the reaction. We want you to listen to our podcast and go, "Yeah, I suppose it was a podcast."
Exactly. Is that sufficient bullshit for you, Lewis?
I think so. Yeah, I have an extra nugget if you'd like it.
Oh, go on, go on.
Just reminded me by well as I was drilling my lights into the wall, I realised that one of my favourite things about the drill that I have, I bought it from Screwfix or B&Q or somewhere, I don't remember. And my favourite thing about it is that it is stained with my blood.
I mean,
at some point during a DIY project, I must have cut my finger and not realised. And then I picked it up the next time and I was like, why is there this red mark down the side? And I think that's my blood. So that's nice.
Wow, I mean, most people just put their name on it, but like you've had to go there.
My drill and I have a blood oath that it will never drill into like a water pipe or an electrical line or anything.
Oh yeah, that's
so no,
good.
I'm fine. Yeah.
Jesus, that's good. Well, I'm out of bullshit. Are you out of bullshit?
Yes, I feel very sated after my rant about socialist vegetables.
Full of bullshit. Lovely.
Full of bullshit. Yum, 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 yum.
Well, we are speaking this week about the new Netflix show, Bridgerton. And it was created by Chris Van Dusen, and it's based on the book by Julia Quinn. And it was directed by many people. You can go into Wikipedia if you want to see every director's name. Fuck's sake. And it is starring... I'm so sorry for the pronunciation here. Adoa Ando? I'm not even going to try and...
I've got no... I'm not going to Google it and bail you out of this.
She's a fantastic actor who plays Martha's mum in Doctor Who, if you know who I'm talking about. She's very good. Jonathan Bailey.
One of 2 Doctor Who actors in this show.
That's true. Jonathan Bailey, Phoebe Denver, Ruby Baker, and Reggie Jean Page. There you go. And I think
I'm very interested to know what the criteria is to get onto your list of cast that you read aloud on the show. Because that's not all the cast, because there's dozens and dozens of people in this show.
Yeah, it's very low bar. I just sort of look at the credits.
Whoever are the top 5 on the credits.
Yeah.
Yep, that'll do.
Yeah, Julia Walters is in it as well. She's pretty big. I should put her name in it, I guess. I've always hated...
She wasn't in the top 5 on the credits, it's alright.
Yeah, I've always hated the sort of, the more famous you are, the more likely you are to get in the show. I like it in the order of appearance, because then it's just characters rather than, just famous people, you know?
Mm-hmm. I think, I know that it's that whole thing about having a more famous person in a movie will draw people to go and see the movie. But on the same level, why don't you just concentrate on making the film good instead of getting famous people in it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. If Mark Hamill would be the last name in Star Wars: The Force Awakens, if it was in order of appearance, he would just be the last because he shows up at the end for 2 seconds. But yeah,
good old Mark Hamill.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Seems like a nice guy.
He named his dog based on a Twitter poll. Are you aware of this?
Oh, democracy in action. Lovely.
Yes, the top two options. I think in the end his dog is called Bark Hamill.
Oh,
Which is quite good.
wow.
I think the second highest option was Honey Roast Hamill.
Wow, I mean, you know, I love democracy. It's an imperfect system sometimes, though.
Yeah. Well, that's a good job they didn't call him Doggy McDogface or something.
Yep.
Oh, Boaty McBoatface, that's fucking brilliant. Oh, God.
Do you have an opening statement?
I do. An interesting narrative with characters who aren't always good. I think it's how am I going to word this now? I've got the ideas that I want to get across written down. A lot of the time with period dramas, it's sort of implied that way back when we were just better people. We were just kinder and good. We were just inherently morally good.
Yeah.
I like that the characters in this make bad choices and they're just really horny all the time. I like that it's kind of a bit more true to life because they're kind of arseholes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep. It makes sense.
Okay, have you got an opening statement?
I do. A very heterosexual show with with a plethora of dicks to try and bring yourself to root for. I guess it's just not my kind of thing. Found it hard to enjoy.
No, I know what you mean. I hadn't really considered how violently heterosexual the show is. That didn't even occur to me at all.
Hi, I'm Lewis Brindley from, the future, and we forgot about
The scenes in Bridgerton which feature gay people.
We appear to have completely forgotten about them. Benedict, the man with, to be honest with you, I think there might be some of the coolest sideburns I've ever seen. He goes to a house and there's lots of gay people in it, and they talk about that, and that's like a thing that happens. So take everything we're about to say with a big old pinch of salt. Sorry for forgetting that. We normally we're pretty on the ball with stuff like that. This appears to have just completely slipped our minds for no real reason. All right, thanks. Have a nice day.
It's really weird because there's so many historical things are so very heterosexual. But then that's the thing I like about Bridgerton is that it feels like there are real people. They just happen to be in the Jacobean times or
sorry, the Georgian times.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it's George III because he's the only king I can think of who went a bit mad.
Oh no, there was plenty.
Oh yeah, there were, but he's the one that, in my mind, fits with the ball gowns and stuff.
Oh yeah,
ball gowns and wigs and all that.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that's a really good point. It is violently heterosexual, which is quite strange, really. Like you hear about,
I can't believe I'm about to say this on air, but sort of before Catholicism, people were much more gay in general.
Of course
people
they were.
Just didn't really give a shit, and it didn't occur to them to care. And then, so I think Christianity spread sort of by the veins of the Roman Empire, as it were.
Yep.
And then everybody was suddenly very interested in what they were having sex with.
Yeah.
Christ, that's a terrible way to phrase that. Who, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty annoying, but history happened. So yeah. But I don't just mean the content of the show. It's I don't know how to describe it. Like the whole surrounding it, it just feels like a very straight show, you know. I don't know how.
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
You know, I
think there's a difference between saying straight people with a lowercase s and p and straight people with an uppercase s and p.
Yeah.
I think. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the vibe the show gives off in its finished narrative. I do know what you mean. It hadn't really occurred to me because I was busy thinking about how cool it would be to wear a big weird coat and carry a revolver in my pocket. Maybe I just want to be a pirate. Maybe that's the motto that we should take away from this. I better go and start learning some sea shanties and.
I know they're popular. They're popular on TikTok now.
Yes, sea shanties are big, which is wild because it's I keep coming across these TikToks on Instagram where people are like, "Oh, I love sea shanties. They're really good." But it's always American people going, "Oh my god, these sea shanties are really cool," and then playing something that I remember from my childhood.
Yeah,
I would like to point out I did not grow up with pirates. I don't know. I think it's just a part of British culture, I suppose, is that I happen to know a few sea shanties.
I don't know sea shanties. I know that sort of funny wee songs. And maybe I'll maybe I'll release an album one day of like
Funny wee songs.
your grand's wee songs or something. But
Sorry, that really reminded me. Your grand's wee songs. There's because obviously Drag Race UK is airing at the minute. There's this a person, because it's a reality show.
yeah,
Where their drag persona is called Lawrence Cheney, and she's a Scottish drag queen, and that's the sort of character she puts across in like quite a few of the sort of acting challenges. It's like sort of a sort of lovable, sort of middle-aged Scottish lady. It's quite strange to describe it, but like in the most recent episode, there was this challenge where they had to do like daytime TV type stuff, and she was like being an agony aunt, and it was just very weirdly compelling to see this sort of middle-aged, because obviously in real life they're a 20-something man, but then they're performing this character as like a middle-aged agony aunt. It was just really bizarre, but it was really good.
yeah.
I'm not sure where I got that from, but yeah.
Wee granny Scottish voices are like pretty compelling. You know,
Like Mrs. Doubtfire.
exactly. It's like there's a even if they're not, there's an assumed wisdom there. You know, they could be really stupid, but like there's like, oh yeah, I get you. There's a really funny clip. It was at Margaret Thatcher's funeral, and
Right.
it's hilarious. No, and that was in 2013, and it was like BBC reporters were going about sort of Scotland to get like people's thoughts on it.
Of all the places you're going to
Yeah.
try and get favourable opinions of Margaret Thatcher, I don't think Scotland is the place to go.
Yeah, and there was this wee woman. She looked really sort of timid and quite sort of, you know, just reserved herself. She was feeding pigeons, and these reporters came up to her and they were like, excuse me, madam, do you have any thoughts on Mrs. Thatcher's funeral? And she's like, Thatcher? Is that what you just said? And like our whole facade just dropped. And she's like, yes, are you going to be watching it on the television? And she stood up and she said, I'd put a stake through her heart and a ring of garlic round her neck to make sure she never come back. And just and the BBC reporter was stunned. He's like, that's a bit harsh considering our funeral's going on right now. Too bad.
Oh God, fuck Margaret Thatcher.
Fuck Maggie Thatcher. Oh man, there's a great streamer called Limmy, who created his own song, and it's a ding dong Thatcher's deed, witch old witch Thatcher's deed. Sorry, sorry.
Right, well, I mean,
but anyway,
we've had 40 minutes of this podcast.
I know,
We've barely
Jesus
spoken about
Christ.
Bridgerton. Come
But
on,
yeah, first thought, in keeping with that theme, if this doesn't end in a communist uprising, then fuck you all.
Yeah, it is a bit let them eat cake, isn't it? At parts, it's quite strange. In some parts, it's like a sort of it's a let's have the Regency era, but let's do it properly this time. But in other parts, it is very upstairs and downstairs. Like
yeah.
there's quite a lot of times there's like wait staff invisible in the background that you just don't. That you're just supposed not to look at because they're from the lower classes.
Yeah.
Which is a bit gross, but yeah, maybe there will be a point in a future series of Bridgerton where Lady Whistledown says, "Let them eat cake," and then everybody chops her head off.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
You know, Marie Antoinette didn't actually say let them eat cake. She said let them eat croissant.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yes, it is. I suppose croissant were perhaps more readily available than cake. I don't really know enough about pastry.
Yeah, but it just sounds fancier, doesn't it? You know? Croissant.
Well, she did say the whole thing in French, because, you know, they were French.
She was. Known fact, yep, you're right.
Yeah, known fact. I do believe Marie Antoinette was French. I've got a quick question about Bridgerton.
Go on.
Did as much boxing occur back then as the show implies? Because it seems much more dangerous in a pre-antibiotics era to do boxing on the reg. You get a slight cut, instant death, pretty much, in like a pre-antibiotics world. I feel like that's extremely dangerous.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there wasn't as much, because if you look at like sort of paintings of like Georgian men Like,
Yeah.
they were all wearing makeup. They were all incredibly pampered. You know, like, I find it very hard to believe that they would be out like, sort of boxing. I think like Hastings is like because like he sort of wears the same outfits, but in a very sort of like modern esque sort of way. Because obviously he's like one of the protagonists, so like they've obviously tried to make him look a bit more sort of normal than other characters in the show. Whereas like someone like Lord Bearbrook is probably what you would find in like Georgian days for like most men back then.
Is that Ben Miller?
Yeah, the really creepy guy, the really, really aggressively creepy guy. Him. Yeah.
No, I feel like I probably should have said this at the top of the episode, but there are far too many names in this series.
Yeah.
It's something I really struggle with in books, films, TV, whatever. If there are too many names or the names are too similar, I just do not remember them. Like, for example, in my notes, I've got here the dark-haired Bridgerton from Doctor Who. I do not know what her name is. Do you know which one I mean? The one that the Queen charges with finding out who Lady Whistledown is.
Is her character's name Eloise or something?
Yes, that's it. Eloise or Ella or something. It's an E one.
It's an E one.
Yeah, but it's just there are too many names in Bridgerton.
Yeah.
I can see
Eloise, we just established that was her name. I can see her going a bit like full Mary Shelley.
Yeah.
Right.
To be honest with you, this is just a vessel for me to talk about Mary Shelley because she was so fucking cool, man.
She was.
She was like the original goth.
How cool is that?
That is pretty cool.
Have you heard the story about Percy Shelley's heart?
No.
Yeah, because Percy Shelley died quite far in advance of Mary Shelley.
And the story goes,
I think it was Lord Byron that at the cremation or the funeral pyre of Percy Shelley, he grabbed Percy Shelley's heart out of the fire with his bare hands and sort of put it out and took it to Mary Shelley. And she sort of dried it and kept it in her desk drawer until she died.
Is that
like
true?
Such a goth thing. Yes, it is true. Although the sort of slight detraction is it based on the sort of temperature that various different parts of a human body burn at. It probably
wasn't his heart. I think the going theory is that it was his liver
or his kidney.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, she kept an organ in her desk for many, many years.
Nice.
As a symbol of her undying love to him and stuff like that.
She was goth as fuck, and that story about how she lost her virginity on her mother's grave, and all these intensely insane
true?
things. As far as it's as true as it can be. I think that's one of those things that's kind of impossible to prove. But yeah,
Right.
it's regular. It's generally regarded as true, I think. And
yeah, Mary Shelley was just cool as fuck.
Yeah, there's a few sort of cool fucking ancient people sprinkled throughout history. You know,
Yeah.
See, like centuries from now, if we're still here, like David Bowie will be looked at as one of those people. You know, just one of these utter fucking really cool sort of, you know, chilled out people. But yeah,
So, whenever I think about David Bowie, there's this one thing that always sticks out in my mind. I remember watching this documentary shortly after David Bowie died, and it was, I forget what it was. There was this guy was being interviewed about David Bowie, and he said, "What's your sort of your first memory of the first time you met him?" And the guy being interviewed was a black man, and he said, "Well, me and my friends, they told us that we were going to meet David Bowie that day. We were all dead excited, and my friend turned to me and said, 'Look, you're going to go in that studio, and you're going to meet the whitest man you have ever met.'" and he thought, and he said, "Oh, that's ridiculous. Come on, he's just going to be a guy." And he walked into the studio, and he went, and I think the quote goes something like, "I walked into the studio, and he was so pale." And it was just something about how he was like almost glowing in the sort of glumness of the studio. It just always makes me laugh, that the idea that you'd walk into a studio and be like, "Oh fuck, that bloke's glowing." That
just
really
have to
tickles me.
be
I like that.
warned.
Yeah.
You have to put out epilepsy notices before you meet David Bowie. Holy shit!
Oh god.
Right, we need to talk about Bridgerton because fucking
Yeah, we
hell.
do.
Right, okay.
Right. How would you make these clothes better and more wearable? Because I think we can all agree that the aesthetic is kind of objectively cool.
wearing those big old coats and waistcoats and hats and boots
Yeah.
and stuff. That's kind of cool. And the big ball gowns and stuff, they're cool too. However, they take about 10 years to put on, and then they make you want to kill yourself while you're wearing them.
Yeah, I mean,
as I'm given to understand.
they were purposely sort of like tightened, like
Yes.
especially if you were like a woman to like
Mhm.
for whatever reason. But like also wasn't like being sort of like larger sort of like an indication of like wealth back then, and it was you were meant to be like more attractive if you were like a plus sized sort of person.
I think so. Yeah, that rings a bell. I don't want to say yes, definitely, because I'm not sure, but it rings a bell of truth. Yeah.
Yeah, because like people who like were, conventionally good looking nowadays, weren't they just like hungry back then? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
imagine that most of these people were like just incredibly sort of bloated because of like
Mm.
all the food that they ate and all the sort of luncheons that they had.
Yeah, and
You
you
know?
have these sort of slightly terrifying concepts of like in the Elizabethan age, you had the concepts of attraction were like because Queen Elizabeth was, I think, quite ill for quite a long time, and it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation. Was she ill and then she started using makeup that had lead in it, or did she start using makeup that had lead in it and then she became very ill?
Yeah.
Because for years and years she had this like ghostly pale face from this sort of lead-based makeup she was using.
Uh-huh.
And she dyed her hair like this vibrant sort of ginger that you see in all the paintings and stuff. So people were like just plastering lead on their faces during the Elizabethan age to make them look white as milk, which
Yeah.
is like crazy, obviously. But yeah, I think that is a very interesting thing, how beauty standards sort of change over time.
Definitely.
Like bizarre combinations of like corsets and underskirts that make people have like 3-inch waists, but then like hips that look like, do you know what I mean? You're like, you can't fit through a door and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy looking at old school clothes and thinking, what the fuck was going on back then? What?
Wasn't there like
What-
steel? Wasn't there like steel sort of dress, sort of like scaffolding? Like there would be the
Yes.
dress, and there was like actual steel that would make the dress look bigger. Like the bustle would be bigger or something
Yes,
like
as I
that.
understand it, yeah, it was steel, and I think whale bones were also used.
Fuck.
I know for corsets, but I'm not sure about for underskirts. But yeah.
That is so strange.
Yeah, so to make the clothes more wearable, perhaps let's not like crush our organs with what's the word, corsets and stuff. Perhaps let's avoid that.
Yeah, agreed.
I think in this, I mean, you have to dig a bit to find it, which I think speaks a lot about the strangeness of the story between the two protagonists of the love story between them.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to dig to find it. But there's an interesting story about an interesting message, I suppose, about love versus control, and being in the There's this Terry Crews quote, which Terry Crews is a bit odd, but like he was that one thing he said about it's impossible to love someone and also to control them, and I think
Yes.
that's like an interesting thing that I think I was going to say the Duke. That's not his name, is it?
Simon, I think.
Simon, that's it. That's an interesting thing that Simon sort of struggles with, is he wants to control every aspect of the relationship that he's in, but he also wants to be wildly in love with them. But it's like, I think that's the sort of the back and forth that Simon sort of struggles with. I think that's, you have to dig a bit to get to it, because there's a lot of sort of, interpersonal drama that makes me more than a little queasy.
Yeah.
Should we
I'm-
put it gently? Yeah.
We can't really discuss this show without like discussing the controversy around it, because I thought it was just like a small thing, but apparently there's a lot of people that were pretty upset about the whole context between Daphne and Simon's relationship. And I'm pretty annoyed at how the show handled it, because
Yeah,
by the
yeah.
end of the show they're very happy together, despite the horrible things that both of them did to each other. On the one hand, Simon completely lied about not being able to have children, and like obviously nowadays, it's like, well, that's a different thing. Do you know what I mean? But like, back then, it would be like make or break for like a woman in that era.
Yeah,
you know?
and her sort of royal household, as it were.
Yeah, and I don't think you can really give like informed consent to like a relationship if you don't if someone's like just sort of misdirected you about whether you can have kids or not. And
yeah.
Daphne just straight up raped him.
Yeah.
Like And that's like
Yeah.
it's just sort of swept under the rug like immediately. Like, it's never sort of mentioned again, and I think that's pretty fucking weird for just nowadays. I find it really sort of weird to talk about because it seems like such a clear thing, you know. Maybe you could make the argument back then it wouldn't be acknowledged as much, you know, because I think standards of consent back then were like fucking skewed as hell, and maybe it just wasn't an issue for science. I don't fucking know, but the show should have made it look clear. Like,
yeah, because they in a lot of ways they make the society a modernized version of Georgian society.
yeah,
But then because in that they sort of maintain modernized morals in a lot of ways, but then the rape is very easily swept under the rug, and you think, well, you can't have it both ways. Do you know what I mean? That kind of needs to be addressed.
yeah. There's a great video by Pop Culture Detective about sort of male rape in like TV shows and stuff like that, and I think for a lot of people still find it really difficult to imagine like men getting raped by women. I mean, it's it's a very dicey area, but it does happen, and anyone has the right to fucking back out at any time during sexual activities. Do you know what I mean? And I think the show really missed out on an opportunity to show how that is unacceptable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do agree with you. It's the thing that sort of it kind of disappointed me in a strange way, because it's like they both have weirdly arguments that you can understand in a strange way. Daphne wants to have a child because she wants to have a family, obviously, and that's like an understandable cause in itself. But then she also loves Simon and sees the good in his character that he doesn't see in himself. And you think, okay, well, I understand that argument. And then Simon doesn't want to have a child because he feels that his sort of family history and the way his father treated him, and he doesn't want to become his dad and that whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I kind of understand that too. But then they start lying to each other a lot. And it's and then Daphne literally fucking rapes him. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
you had an interesting interpersonal drama, and then you fucked it, right? And that's not just me. You fucked it. It's like one of my great beliefs in terms of watching something or reading something is, if the problem that you're facing can be resolved by the characters having the problem just talking to each other, then it's probably not a very good problem.
Yeah.
If Daphne and Simon had just sat down and spoken to each other openly, then the problem would have been resolved.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't. It's.
I'm not saying that rape shouldn't be portrayed in like TV shows. I'm saying that the show itself, like the sort of maybe the music or the tone or whatever, the show has to make it clear that that is fucking unacceptable, and make it like explain how a character as awful as they are could get to that point, you know. And I just think it was handled very sort of nonchalantly, and then by the end of it, they're having a kid and they're happy. It's like, maybe for the time that would make sense. I don't know. I'm not a history major in sort of Georgian fucking history, but like, I think the show has a responsibility to, like, you know, say, look, this is a really desperate situation. Fucked up things are definitely going to happen, and show that properly, you know.
And sort of explain how fucked up they are, rather than just saying everything is equally fucked up and leaving it for the viewer to decide, saying, no, I think rape is definitely worse than some of the other things that happen in the show. Do you know what I mean?
There is no justification for rape. Okay.
Yeah. It's literally one of the only crimes I can think is literally. In fact, it's probably the only crime I can think of that it would be impossible to justify.
Yeah.
Because you can sort of say, well, I had to kill him because he was going to kill my family.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You can't say
that's a justifiable thing.
You can't say I had to rape him because he sort of didn't clarify between can't and won't, and now I'm married. Like, no, fuck off. No way. But yeah, so. To be fair, I do like the character development of Daphne. I like that she's sort of, you know, she's not been prepared for like womanly life as it is back then, and then she realizes pretty quickly that she's actually kind of capable, and sort of like, you know, develops these sort of skills and how to deal with like different people. I like that sort of development, you know. And if they were going to make her like a villain, or like a sort of like a product of our time who's like become very sort of family driven and will do anything for her family. That could have made more sense. But she seems like someone who is pretty nice, apart from when she rapes someone. Do you know what I mean? It's like I think the problem is that the show. I think the problem is that the show didn't see that as bad as a thing as it was. If you know what I mean. I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, you are making sense. I understand. Yeah, it's it feels almost as though the show didn't contextualize what Daphne did.
Yeah.
When they did with other moral decisions that were made in the show.
Because in a show, if if a character rapes another character, it's a pretty good fucking indication that character is fucking far gone now.
Yeah.
You know, and that is that person is a villain and the antagonist of the show, and that's without a doubt. But somehow, if you're going to make it a show about an anti-hero, then maybe I could understand that, but it seems as if we're still supposed to believe in this relationship that's just so fucked at this point. I don't know, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think it's a show that has a lot of flaws, don't get me wrong, but I think it also has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
I think that in spite of everything, all the sort of morally reprehensible things that happen in the show, I think it does have potential to be very interesting and very good. I think it's rare that we see, as I said in my sort of opening statement, it's rare that we see a period drama in which things that are objectively fucked take place, and in which people are kind of arseholes about stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's quite rare that we see that happen.
Yeah.
So from things like what Daphne did, or even to Daphne's father getting into horrendous gambling debt, it's rare we see things like that in a period drama, unless Sherlock Holmes is about to swoop in and reveal that there actually is no gambling debt, or whatever it might be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree.
Right. Have you got any last CRQs or CRSs or anything?
Yeah. Penelope. Spoilers in case it does turn out to be true. Penelope is Lady Whistledown, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Is that true? Like it seems.
As far as I'm aware, yeah.
It seems as if that's what it's. Pointing to. And I just want to ask, why the fuck does anyone care what Lady Whistledown says? Why is that a thing?
It's yeah. I mean, this is something that it is kind of.
Why would the Queen care?
Word? Yeah, it's the no one cared who I was till I put on a mask. It's kind of that thing in a very roundabout way. Like Gossip Girl is perhaps the only other sort of long running drama that did this, where it was like there's just this person telling people things about everybody. It doesn't so much matter whether what they say is true or not, because after they say a couple of things that might be true, then they're a true source. Does that make sense?
No, definitely. But it's just at the beginning of the show, she doesn't actually say anything that no one else knows and everyone finds out. She does that later on. At the start, she just sort of says, "Oh, Thingy's doing good, isn't she? She'll be a good bride." Look, why are she only saying that because the Queen said, "Flawless, my dear." At the beginning, it's like, why does anyone give a shit? You know?
Yeah, it's I think that's kind of what I find interesting about this, and also about like the Crown and stuff like that, is that it's yes, it's interesting to watch the Queen get prepared for her coronation or whatever, but then on the same level, why does anybody give a shit? Why does the Archduke of Canterbury not want there to be cameras? Why does he care at all?
That's a good
Do you know
point.
what I mean? And then I think it's if you sort of cast that aside and say, okay, well, let's suppose it matters, then it becomes an interesting sort of thing. But then to watch the drama taking place and to watch horrific things happen and to watch whatever it might be, all for the sake of something that only matters because people think it matters. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It is kind of hilarious how, when you think about it for more than 2 seconds, this entire society could collapse, if people just said, well, I don't want to get married. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of really funny.
Yeah, it's kind of horrendous. It's the thing is, I'm only aware of debutante balls, which I think they do have one in this, because of Gossip Girl, in that I believe it's still a thing that's done as a matter of tradition in the modern world.
Yeah.
Which is fucking horrific when you really start to consider it.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, this is a debutante ball because my daughter is now of the marrying age. She is now no longer my responsibility. Another man will remove her from my property.
Yeah,
Is that not horrific as fuck?
Yeah, it's just women were treated like just fucking chattel, just
Exactly.
shoved about from family to family. It's so fucked, you know.
It's horrendous.
I've got to say, see Marina's storyline. Marina's storyline was probably the most like the one that I enjoyed the most. Not enjoyed as in like, haha, this is happening to you, but like the most profound,
Engaging, yeah.
Like when what's her name? Fucking arsehole. What's her name?
Daphne?
No. The mum of the three people. The three.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I have no idea.
She's got a really stupid name. Lady Featherington. Her.
Oh yeah, that is a stupid name.
when she takes Marina to the slums, as it were, and Marina just sees like working class people like just doing hard work. I thought that was like, oh, okay, are we gonna get some class consciousness stuff maybe?
Some social commentary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it sort of did a 180 and Marina's like getting married to someone now, I think.
Yeah, which is
kind of shit. But
it was kind of horrific that Marina was pregnant and then was sort of like, right, well, we'll best palm you off as quickly as we can then.
Yeah.
But isn't that horrific? Do you know what I mean? She's viewed as damaged goods. It's assigning a monetary value essentially to somebody. It's just fucking horrific.
It's fucking disgusting. But yeah, I think I am out of notes.
Yes, I think I am also out of notes. I've got bad parents are fucked. That's the only remaining one I've got.
True.
But yeah, true. I think I am also out of notes. We've got a closing statement.
I do. So it's really a matter of taste. I find it hard to care about mostly all of these characters, and it is a bit too theatrical for me. I find period dramas a bit hard to watch anyways, but that's just me. I'm sure a lot of other people enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think the outfits are cool, but then you start to consider the moral choices that a lot of the characters make, and you go, ew.
Yeah, like how many fucking poor people had to like toil over that fucking dress?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's what gets me when you talk about like clothing nowadays with lace on it. It's like done by a machine and it's done quickly and so it can be cheap.
Yeah.
But like more like in history, things made of lace would have to be very artfully woven and crafted by like people that do literally nothing but that for like a year to make a square foot of lace, and that's just like insane to consider how much cruelty went into making these dresses and roasting that goose. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You should watch a documentary on how like if there's going to be like a state dinner or something like that, the amount of preparation that goes into it, at like Buckingham Palace, even for like Christmas Day, like they plan like months in advance. It's fucked.
I'm sure they do. Yeah,
it's so fucked.
Well, I do think it's a good use of my tax money.
Yeah, and see people that work in these places, they get paid absolutely fuck all. It's like fair enough if it was like even like, you know, oh well, you work for Her Majesty, you will be, you know, paid handsomely for that. It's like no, they get paid fuck all. They get paid minimum wage. It's fucking shite. But
yes, it is. Well, before we get on a massive anti-capitalist rant, should we perhaps bring the show to a gentle close?
Yes, I mean, how could you expect me not to with this fucking bougie shit?
Oh, I fucking know. It's it's something I do hate about. My feelings on capitalism are very well documented. In that I am massively against it, and I do hate watching. I mean, it's hard for me to conceptualize with Bridgerton because I know none of it happened. But then you watch like The Crown or whatever, and you think, you talk like, for example, the episode of Doctor Who where they talk about the Kohinoor diamond, and they say it costs the wages of the entire planet for a week, or something absurd like that.
Yeah,
it's like, well, think of how many people that could feed.
Exactly.
Think of how much good that much money could do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, make a run for it and give it away. That's like fucking dispute it out. Jesus Christ. But yeah, Do you have a closing statement?
I just did it.
Oh shit! So you did. I see red everywhere. I see,
Now that we're talking about capitalism.
I'm so furious. But yeah. So yeah, that was Bridgerton. So Lewis, are you ready to completely act like a hypocrite and shill for for our social medias?
I am very ready to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have link trees, and Lewis's link tree is linktr.ee/Lewis Brindley.
Lewis_Brindley.
Lewis_Brindley, sorry. And my link tree is linktr.ee/Ohiram. And the Shouting Into the Void's link tree is linktr.ee/Shouting Into the Void. Yeah.
It is. You can find all of our social medias on all of our Patreon and our everything that you can possibly conceive of that a podcast could have. You can find through those links.
Yes. We have a PayPal donate button, so anything you can spare, anything at all, would be greatly appreciated. We have a Patreon, and we want to thank our wonderful, wonderful patrons. Chloe.
Thank you.
Darius.
Thank you.
Sophie.
Thank you.
Peter.
Thank you.
Aditya.
Thank you.
Richard.
Thank you.
And Natalie.
Thank you. One and all. You make the show possible. You enable us to bring the show to a big old audience, which is exactly what we love to do. So thank you very much for allowing us to do that.
Definitely. We also have merch on Teespring and Redbubble. We sell t-shirts, tote bags, jumpers, all sorts of things. Go and have a wee look, see if anything tickles your fancy. And get yourself something nice.
Yeah, treat yourself.
Yes.
Speaking of treat yourself, Parks and Rec is completely on UK Netflix.
I know!
Now. How exciting is that?
And so's The Office.
Yes, we're just finishing watching The Office now, Chloe and I are. And then I think we're going to leap straight to Parks and Rec.
Quite right. We also have a sponsor. I believe it's your turn to edit this week, isn't it, Lewis?
I believe it is my turn. And we actually do have a pre-recorded advert because we like to pretend to be prepared. You can listen to the advert now. Danny, I've got some amazing news.
Oh, really? What?
I'm going to make you a hat.
Thanks. But why?
Well, because Right Side Yarns, who sell beautiful and unique wool, have recently released a new range.
Oh, I've heard of them. Aren't they that fantastic Scottish business that sells high-quality hand-dyed products perfect for crafting with?
They certainly are, and they're sponsoring the show.
Really? Have they heard the show?
Yes, and apparently they like it. Kezia, the owner of the business, has given us a generous 15% off code for any of our listeners to use.
Is that why you've got Void 15 written in your hand?
It is! If you or any of our listeners would like to use the code, simply enter Void 15 at checkout with a capital V.
Great! Where do I check out?
You can go to their website at rightsideyarns.co.uk or check them out on Instagram at Kezia_rightsideyarns.
Fantastic! This hat you're making me better be good.
Oh, that's good, isn't it?
Oscar winning.
I love that advert. It's hilarious. It makes me cry.
Yep.
It's emotive. It's just such a good advert.
Every emotion that can be expressed has been expressed when I listen to that advert. We are also partnered with a fantastic company called Number 12 Crochet Avenue, and Lewis is going to say some wonderful things about them, all of which are true.
Yes, Number 12 Crochet Avenue is a little crochet business that my wife runs on Instagram, where you can go and check out what she's doing, keep up to date with the latest updates and bits of news on pretty bits of crochet and interesting bits of crochet and things about yarn. Go and check it out if you're interested. It's at Number 12 Crochet Avenue on Instagram. Go and take a look. It'd be very cool if you did.
Definitely.
Now, Danny, what are we going to be talking about next week?
Well, I'll just randomly spin the wheel and it'll give me...
Okay, and it'll randomly select something. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. It stopped. We are going to be speaking about The Crown next week.
Indeed we are.
In keeping with the sort of,
the aristocracy theme.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Get prepared to hear us rant about royals and aristocracy.
Definitely. But until then, thank you so much for listening.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very, very much. It means the world.
Yep, and we will see you, hear you, smell you, fucking base our lives on who we're marrying next time.
Yeah, indeed we will.
Thank you very much for listening. Bye.
Yay!